here, and I want to get to that because I'm fascinated by AOC. Same thing, and a couple of others who should be, I don't know, Trump supporters necessarily, but they should be making common cause with Trump on the promise of a fair economic system, and they're not, and why. But let me just get back to your great point that wokeness was used as a tool by the people making the most money going back 80 years.
Yes.
So this is why Malcolm X had a short lifespan.
That's right.
You're right.
Exactly.
So if you actually listen to Malcolm X speeches,
well,
they're not about race. So.
Well, he went and had an awakening.
Exactly.
He had an awakening. It's like, oh, there's white Muslims.
Exactly.
And he realized that wasn't the game. And as soon as that happened, he had a short life. And so the same thing when Martin Luther King decided it was about class and not about race. And no, they want it to be about race. And so you've seen the studies, I'm sure, that, after Occupy Wall Street, so you had the Tea Party, right? They were upset about what happened during the economic crash in Wall Street and the government bailing them out and kicking people out of their houses and making sure the way I said it was Barack Obama made sure the bankers got their bonuses while he kicked 5.1 million families out of their homes, not people, 1 million families. And then you find out that he got more money from Wall Street than John McCain did. And you find out that
really?
Yes. And that there was an email from Wall Street, from Citigroup to the Barack Obama campaign with a list of people they wanted in his cabinet. Every person on that list ended up in his cabinet. And the reason I know that, because that got released by WikiLeaks, and that's why they've been trying to kill Julian Assange ever since. And so they all are working. He wasn't a departure from George W. Bush, Barack Obama, just his skin color. He took us from 2 wars to 7. He gave us a right-wing healthcare plan, which came out of the Heritage Foundation, which is the same people I gave you Project 2025, and he gave us Mitt Romney's healthcare plan. So and he deported all those. He dropped more bombs than George Bush, and nobody noticed. And that's why they wanted to have Kamala Harris. That was their first choice. The donor class was Kamala Harris. They thought we'd have a female Barack Obama, and that's a good face for imperialism, right? Because we have a black woman bombing and stealing resources and doing neoliberal and neocon policies. That's perfect. And that you couldn't get a vote. So then they had to go to their second most reliable person, which was Joe Biden. That's exactly how it worked. I don't know if you remember, but they coronated her on Martha's Vineyard. She's going to be our candidate. And they thought they had the black Barack Obama, but she couldn't get a vote. She has no political talent, right? And so then they forced her on Joe Biden as the vice president. And then, of course, they did a coup, just like Jim Gaffigan said at the Al Smith dinner. They had the debates way earlier than they normally would, so they would give them enough time to install Kamala Harris, and that's exactly what happened. So I don't know how I got off on this tangent, but yes, we know that after Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party, then the major newspapers, the mentions of racism and white supremacy, people have studied this. I'm not making this up. I'm just quoting studies. It went through the roof. And why is that? That's because, as Chomsky taught us, the newspapers aren't there to inform you. They're to manufacture consent. And one of the great ways to manufacture consent for the establishment is to divide and conquer. It's been there ever since World War II. It's been divide and conquer. And that's exactly what they did. So they got everybody that's what identity politics is. And it's got